Hello and welcome to this section of DoubleClick Training's Adobe Flash CS3 Fast Track course. During this edition we're going to be covering how to create just a simple motion tween within Flash. Taking a look at my screen here, I've created a motion tween with this ball. That's just going to move from left to right on my stage. Taking a look at the top of my screen, you'll notice within my timeline, my layer there called ball, I've got two keyframes set up. Just as extreme positions for this ball that is going to be tweening or moving across my stage. I'm just going to click on my enter key here, and you'll see that my playback head here at the top of my screen will move through my timeline, and you'll be able to see what this tween or this animation looks like. So just left to right, just move that ball. Very simple to complete. But what we'll be able to do as we gain an understanding of the process to go through and create this motion tween is to apply this to more advanced animation. Before we actually go through and see the steps that we'll take to create this within Flash, I like to cover just 5 simple steps that we're going to be using in order to create this. And like I said before, we'll be able to take this process that we're going to be covering and then be able to apply it to something simple like this, but also being get into more advanced techniques. When I first started working inside of Flash and I came across motion tweens, it took me a little while to be able to catch on and remember all the steps that were necessary in order to be able to do this. So what I've done here is I've jotted down five easy steps that you need to be able to go through in order to be able to create a motion tween within Flash. The first step is to be able to create a symbol. Whether this is a graphic symbol, a movie clip, or a button, doesn't matter. We can do a motion tween with any of those three. These 3 symbols we talked about in an earlier edition of DoubleClick Training's Fast Track and Flash. But that's the first step, to be able to create your symbol. Your next step is to be able to create your keyframes or keyframe. Maybe you've just got 1 or 2, or maybe you've got several keyframes up there that you're going to be tweening or animating within. When you think of your keyframes, these are just the extreme positions that your symbol is going to be moving around within. In that ball example that we just saw, we had 2 keyframes. One at the beginning for its initial position, and then one at that frame 20 where the ball came to a stop at on the right side of the stage. So we create the symbol, and then we insert our keyframes, your extreme positions for your symbol. The third step is to be able to position the symbol, again, whether it's that graphic, movie clip, or button, within those keyframes. So again, in that example we saw, we had the ball in frame 1 at the left side of the screen, first keyframe, and then we had the ball at the right side of the screen in the second keyframe at frame 20. So we've moved the symbol, placed it, positioned it within those keyframes. If I wanted that ball to bounce, then I'd have my first keyframe maybe on the left. I'd insert another keyframe, place the ball down at the ground level, and then maybe a third keyframe, I'd raise it back up, maybe like the ball was bouncing. So I'm moving that symbol around within the keyframes. The fourth step is to select the layer name. So I go up and into my timeline and I click on the layer name. Now what this does for us is it will select everything within that layer. You'll see the entire layer turn black. Once that is selected, our 5th step is to turn on the motion tween. There's a few ways that we can do this, and we'll see this as we go through in the process of creating this motion tween. But more commonly you'll find this inside of the properties panel down at the bottom of your screen typically. So 5 little steps that you're going to be going through, but all very important. Again, when I first started working inside of Flash, something that I forgot to do was to create the symbol. What I would do is I'd just go in and I would create a circle, for example, and I'd forget to turn it into one of those 3 symbols, that graphic, movie clip, or button. Now what this does, and I can show you an example of this a little bit later, is you'll find inside of your library that Flash has created your own symbols for you, but it will create a symbol for each keyframe that you place your symbol within. So it's a little bit harder, it's not as tidy. You got to keep track of all that information rather than just one keyframe, or excuse me, one symbol. So better off just to create your own symbol rather than have Flash create them for you. But that's a step that I forgot quite a bit. But if we follow these 5 little steps, we'll be able to create our motion tweens. We're going to head back into Flash and we'll take a look at this in action. We'll go through these 5 steps and we'll create our first motion tween. Okay, so here we are back in Flash. From my splash screen here, I'm just going to go to Create New, and I'm going to go in the Flash file ActionScript 2.0. Gives me just the empty stage here. First thing I like to do when I start a new project is to name my layers, just keep myself organized. So I'm going to come up to the layer and just give it a double click, and I'm going to call this ball. So I've got my layer there. You'll notice that they've given me a keyframe. It's an empty keyframe, currently nothing on my stage. So I'm going to come over, I'm going to grab my oval tool. And I'm just going to create a circle here, just on the left portion of my stage. Our first step in creating our motion tween, if you recall, is to create a symbol. And I've created a circle here, but I haven't converted in one of those 3 Flash symbols yet. So I'm going to go ahead and select this circle. And the shortcut key to convert a piece of artwork into a symbol is F8. So just your function key F8 at the top of your keyboard. Or you can go into your modify menu and you can go to convert to symbol. You see the shortcut key there, F8. This symbol, I'm going to call it, let's see, GR_ball. I give it that GR abbreviation to help me identify it as a graphic symbol and make sure that the type is set to graphic. And I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. So you'll notice that because it's a symbol, I do get that blue border around it. And just to double check, I'm going to come over and open up my library here. Let's try that again. And you'll see that it is indeed a symbol. It is in my library and it is a graphic symbol. Okay, close that. So that's our first step. We've created our symbol. Next step is to insert our keyframes. So I've already got the one keyframe with my ball in it. I'm going to head over to frame 20 and I'm going to insert another keyframe there. Now a shortcut key to insert a keyframe is F6. That's your function key F6. So I'm just going to go ahead and give that a click now. You'll see that it's inserted another keyframe there for me. Now if I scrub through my timeline now, you'll see that the ball just sits there, but I do have those 2 keyframes created. So I've got my symbol, I've got my keyframes. Now our third step is to move that symbol within those keyframes. So making sure that I'm on frame 20, I'm going to go ahead and move that circle just to the right side of my stage. So now I've got 2 extreme positions. Keyframe 1 says that the ball is on the left side of the stage. Keyframe 2 says the ball is on the right side of the stage. So we've got our first 3 steps there. Next step is to click on our layer name. And if you recall, this will select everything within that layer. Okay. Last step, 5th step, I'm going to come down into Properties and find Tween, and I'm going to turn on Motion Tween. You'll notice as soon as I do this, if you look up at my timeline here, it turns kind of a purple color, and I get this arrow within there. This lets me know, identifies to me that this has a motion tween applied to this section of my timeline. So now if I scrub through my timeline, you'll see that ball animate or tween across the stage. And all I've had to do there was follow those 5 little steps. Create my symbol, add the keyframes, move my symbol within those keyframes, select the layer, and then turn on the motion tween. Just going to hit my enter key here so we can see it move. And there we go, we've got our first motion tween.